Yes, for all intents and purposes, I am a woman.
I was open with her about my issues. I had been on hormones for 4.5 years, and
the secret Bruce Jenner says he always tried to keep hidden, now coming to light.
It's hard to shake the weight of it all, isn't it? The way the world watches, judges, and never lets you forget. "I just want to be myself," she said once, her voice trembling with a mix of defiance and exhaustion. "But it's like they won't let me." You can feel the ache in those words, the kind that lingers long after the cameras stop rolling. Caitlyn Jenner, once celebrated as an Olympic hero, a reality TV icon and a beacon for transgender visibility, has carried a burden heavier than most can imagine. Behind the glamorous spotlight of I Am Kate, behind the headlines and the red carpets, lies a story far more complex, far sadder than many realize. Her journey, one that seemed to promise liberation and triumph, has spiraled into a series of heartbreaking struggles, moments of loss, rejection, and unrelenting scrutiny that have left scars few see. Caitlyn Jenner's story began long before I Am Kate flickered onto screens in 2015. As Bruce Jenner, she was an American legend, a decathlon champion whose 1976 Olympic gold medal made her a household name. The world saw a man at the peak of athletic glory, a symbol of strength and success. But beneath that public persona, Caitlyn was grappling with a truth she kept hidden for decades: her identity as a transgender woman. It wasn't until April 2015, in a groundbreaking interview with Diane Sawyer on 2020, that she stepped into the light as Caitlyn, revealing her transition to the world. The announcement was seismic, drawing 17 million viewers and sparking conversations about gender identity at a time when transgender issues were only beginning to gain mainstream attention. For many, it was a moment of hope, a chance to see a high-profile figure embrace her truth. But for Caitlyn, it was the start of a journey fraught with challenges she never anticipated. The decision to launch I Am Kate, a docuseries chronicling her life as a newly out transgender woman, was both bold and polarizing. Airing just months after her coming out, the show promised an intimate look at her transition, her relationships, and her role as an advocate for the transgender community. It was groundbreaking, no question about it. A major network giving a platform to a trans woman at a time when such stories were rarely told. The first episode drew 2.7 million viewers, a testament to the public's curiosity and Caitlyn's star power. She was joined by a cast of transgender activists, like Jen Richards and Candice Kane, who brought depth and perspective to the show, challenging Caitlyn to learn about the broader struggles of the trans community. Scenes of her meeting with trans youth, visiting advocacy groups, and confronting her own privilege were raw and real, offering a glimpse into a world many viewers had never considered. Yet, even as I Am Kate broke barriers, it also exposed Caitlyn to a level of scrutiny she could never have prepared for. Her transition wasn't just a personal milestone, it was a public spectacle. The world had known her as Bruce, the Olympian, the patriarch on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and now they were watching her redefine herself in real time. The pressure was immense. Every step she took, her choice of clothes, her voice, her politics, was dissected, debated, and often vilified. For Caitlyn, who had lived much of her life in the public eye, this was a new kind of exposure, one that laid bare her vulnerabilities. I Am Kate captured moments of joy, like when she received her new driver's license with her name and gender updated, a small victory that brought tears to her eyes. But it also showed the pain of navigating family dynamics. Her children, Bert, Cassandra, Brandon, Brody, Kendall, and Kylie, grappled with her transition in their own ways, some embracing it, others struggling to reconcile the father they knew with the woman she was becoming. Her ex-wife Kris Jenner, in a tense confrontation filmed for the show, expressed hurt over Caitlyn's memoir, The Secrets of My Life, where she felt misrepresented. Those raw moments, played out for millions to see, revealed a family fractured under the weight of change. The public's reaction was just as complex. While many praised Caitlyn's courage, others were less forgiving. Her conservative political views, which surfaced during I Am Kate's run, sparked outrage among the LGBTQ+ community. She openly supported Republican figures like Ted Cruz in 2016, a stance that clashed with the progressive values of many trans advocates. In one episode, she debated trans activists about her politics, admitting she was still learning but defending her right to her beliefs. The backlash was swift and fierce. Critics called her out of touch, a privileged celebrity whose wealth and fame shielded her from the realities faced by most transgender people. On social media, particularly Twitter, she faced a barrage of hate, some for being trans, some for being Republican, and some for simply existing in the spotlight. It was a double-edged sword. The same platform that gave her a voice also amplified the vitriol, leaving her caught between two worlds that seemed impossible to reconcile. Then came the tragedy that would haunt her long after I Am Kate ended. In February 2015, just months before the show's premiere, Caitlyn was involved in a fatal car accident on the Pacific Coast Highway in Malibu. Her SUV rear-ended a Lexus driven by Kim Howe, a 69-year-old woman, pushing it into oncoming traffic. Howe was killed instantly when her car was struck by a Hummer. The crash also injured others, including Jessica Steindorf, the driver of a Prius. The incident made headlines, casting a shadow over Caitlyn's coming out. She was cleared of criminal charges, with investigators finding no evidence of negligence but the civil settlements, with Howe's family, Steindorf, and the Hummer's occupants, stretched into the hundreds of thousands. The accident became a lightning rod for criticism, with some accusing her of recklessness, others using it to attack her identity. In 2024, the tragedy resurfaced when Caitlyn tweeted, "Good riddance O.J. Simpson," after his death, prompting a wave of online hate. "Didn't you kill someone too?" one user wrote, a cruel jab that reopened old wounds. The accident, though legally resolved, remains a source of guilt and public scorn, a reminder of the cost of her visibility. The cancellation of I Am Kate in 2016 was another blow. After 2 seasons, viewership had plummeted to 480,000 for its lowest-rated episode, a stark contrast to its debut. The show's earnest focus on trans issues couldn't compete with the drama-driven appeal of other reality TV. Caitlyn took to Twitter, thanking E! For the opportunity but acknowledging it was time to move on. For her, the cancellation wasn't just a professional setback. It was the loss of a platform she'd hoped would amplify trans voices. She had poured her heart into the show, using it to learn from activists and share stories of trans youth, but the world wasn't ready for its message, or perhaps wasn't ready for her. The end of I Am Kate left her searching for new ways to advocate, but the path was fraught with missteps. The years following I Am Kate only deepened the complexities of Caitlyn's journey. She had stepped into the spotlight as a trans icon, but the world she entered was one of relentless judgment. Her political choices continued to alienate her from the community she sought to represent. In 2021, during her campaign for California governor, she took a controversial stance on transgender athletes, supporting policies that would limit their participation in women's sports. The backlash was immediate. Trans activists like Jen Richards called her complicit in systemic transphobia, accusing her of undermining the very community she claimed to champion. On Twitter, the hate poured in. Some called her a traitor, others mocked her as a pick-me trans person, eager to appease conservatives at the expense of her own identity. For Caitlyn, who had once sat with trans youth on I Am Kate, sharing their stories of rejection and resilience, the criticism cut deep. She admitted in a 2020 People interview that being uninvited to LGBTQ plus fundraisers hurt, a rejection that echoed the isolation she felt from parts of her family. Family, in fact, became one of the most painful chapters of her story. I Am Kate had shown the strain of her transition on her children, but the years since have only widened those rifts. Her eldest children, Bert, Cassandra, Brandon, and Brody, had grown up feeling neglected by a father consumed by Olympic fame and later, the Kardashian spotlight. Brody, in particular, was vocal about his pain, revealing on Special Forces, World's Toughest Test in 2023, that Caitlyn wasn't a great father. While he later received an apology and attended his daughter Honey's first birthday with Caitlyn in 2024, the reconciliation felt fragile, a bandage on decades of distance. Kendall and Kylie, her daughters with Crease, grew even more distant. By 2023, Caitlyn confirmed she and Crease were no longer speaking, a fallout rooted in their tense I Am Kate confrontation and fueled by Crease's hurt over Caitlyn's memoir. At Caitlyn's 75th birthday in 2024, Kim Kardashian and Brody showed up, but Kendall and Kylie were absent, citing a prior commitment. The absence stung, a quiet reminder that the family unity she once craved was slipping further away. The loss of her mother, Esther, in April 2023 added another layer of grief. Esther had been a supportive figure in I Am Kate, appearing in episodes where she embraced Caitlyn's transition despite initial confusion over pronouns. Her death at 96 left Caitlyn reeling as she shared on Instagram, "I will miss her tremendously." For a woman already navigating public hate and family estrangement, losing her mother, a rare source of unconditional love, was a devastating blow. The private pain of that loss contrasted sharply with her public persona, where she was expected to remain a polished advocate, a reality star who could weather any storm. Health scares, too, have marked her recent years. In 2018, Caitlyn underwent surgery to remove basal cell carcinoma from her nose, a form of skin cancer that left her physically and emotionally vulnerable. She shared a raw, makeup-free photo on Instagram, urging followers to wear sunblock, but the moment was more than a public service announcement. It was a glimpse into her humanity, a reminder that even a figure as larger-than-life as Caitlyn Jenner could face mortality. The surgery was successful, but the experience lingered, a quiet tragedy in a life already filled with louder ones. Online, the hate has only grown uglier. Caitlyn's visibility as a trans woman combined with her conservative politics has made her a target for both transphobes and trans allies. In 2024, when she responded to a tweet by Riley Gaines, who misgendered her, Caitlyn's reply, "While I prefer female pronouns, that is entirely her prerogative," sparked a firestorm. Critics accused her of enabling transphobia, of prioritizing acceptance from conservatives over solidarity with her community. The comments were brutal. "You're a disgrace to trans people," one user wrote. "You're just a rich celebrity playing at advocacy." For Caitlyn, who had once used I Am Kate to bridge divides, the attacks were a stark reminder of how far she'd fallen from the community's embrace. The internet, a space where she'd once found support, had become a battleground, each tweet a potential landmine. Yet amidst the pain, there have been moments of resilience. Caitlyn has continued to speak out, appearing on Fox News in 2023 and 2024 to discuss trans issues, even as her views sparked debate. She's used her platform to advocate for fairness in sports, a stance she believes balances inclusion with competition, though it's cost her allies. Her work with trans youth, a thread that ran through I Am Kate, hasn't entirely stopped. In private moments, she's mentored young trans people, sharing the lessons she learned on the show. But these efforts are often overshadowed by controversy, by the perception that her privilege, Her wealth, her fame, her access sets her apart from the community she represents. It's a lonely place to be, caught between worlds, neither fully accepted by conservatives nor embraced by progressives. The weight of it all has taken its toll. I Am Kate showed a Caitlyn full of hope, eager to learn and grow, but the years since have dulled that spark. Friends have noted a quieter Caitlyn, one who retreats from the spotlight more than she once did. The constant scrutiny, the family rifts, the loss of her mother, the shadow of the 2015 accident, all of it has left her more guarded, more introspective. In a 2021 interview, she spoke of finding peace in solitude, in her Malibu home overlooking the ocean. But even that peace feels fragile, interrupted by the next tweet, the next headline. Her story, once a beacon of possibility, now feels like a cautionary tale about the cost of living authentically in a world that's quick to judge. What do you think about the tragic story of Caitlyn Jenner? Her journey from Olympic glory to reality TV stardom to a polarizing figure in the trans community is one of triumph and heartbreak, of courage and consequence. It's a story that asks us to consider what it means to be visible, to be vulnerable, in a world that's not always ready to listen. Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you found this story as compelling as we have. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you've connected with Caitlyn's journey. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one. The spotlight has always been a double-edged sword for Caitlyn Jenner. It's given her a voice, a platform to share her truth, but it's also exposed her to a world of criticism that cuts deeper than most can imagine. When I Am Kate premiered, it was meant to be a beacon of hope, a way to show the world what it meant to live as a transgender woman. The show captured her learning curve, her conversations with trans activists, her struggles to understand the broader community, her efforts to rebuild family ties. But the reality of being Caitlyn Jenner, of carrying the weight of her past and present, was far more complicated than the show could ever convey. The cameras stopped rolling, but the scrutiny never did. Every decision, every word, every appearance became fodder for debate, and the toll of that constant judgment has shaped a story far sadder than the triumphant narrative I Am Kate set out to tell. Her family dynamics, a central theme of the show, have only grown more strained over time. I Am Kate gave viewers a front-row seat to her attempts to reconnect with her children, to bridge the gap between the father they knew and the woman she was becoming. But the years since have shown how fragile those bridges were. Her eldest children, Bert, Cassandra, Brandon, and Brody, carried the wounds of a childhood marked by absence. Brody, in particular, has been open about the pain of growing up with a father who seemed more focused on fame than family. On Special Forces in 2023, he spoke of feeling abandoned, a sentiment echoed by Cassandra in earlier interviews. While Caitlyn has made efforts to mend these relationships, attending Brody's daughter's birthday in 2024, offering apologies for past mistakes, the healing is slow, incomplete. Her younger daughters, Kendall and Kylie, have drifted further, their absence at her 75th birthday a stark reminder of the distance that remains. Kris Jenner, once a partner in navigating the reality TV world, is now a stranger, their communication severed after years of tension. These rifts, played out in the public eye, have left Caitlyn grappling with a loneliness that no amount of fame can fill. The loss of her mother, Esther, in 2023 was a blow that hit harder than most. Esther had been a quiet source of strength, appearing in I Am Kate with a warmth that grounded Caitlyn's journey. She stumbled over pronouns at first, but her love for her child was unwavering, a rare constant in a life of upheaval. When Caitlyn announced Esther's passing on Instagram, her words were raw. "I will miss her tremendously." The grief was private, but it played out against a backdrop of public expectation, where Caitlyn was expected to remain composed, resilient, a symbol of strength. Losing her mother, one of the few who saw her fully, was a tragedy that deepened the isolation she already felt. Her political choices have only added fuel to the fire. Caitlyn's conservative leanings, hinted at in I Am Cait and fully embraced in the years since, have made her a polarizing figure. Her support for Ted Cruz in 2016, her brief endorsement of Donald Trump, and her 2021 gubernatorial run as a Republican put her at odds with the progressive trans community. During her campaign, she doubled down on controversial policies, like limiting trans athletes in women's sports, a stance that echoed her own experience as an Olympian but alienated advocates who saw it as a betrayal. The backlash was relentless. On Twitter, she was called everything from self-hating to a pawn for conservatives. Even her response to Riley Gaines' misgendering in 2024, calmly stating her preference for female pronouns, drew ire, with critics arguing she was too quick to appease those who disrespected her identity. The trans community, which she'd hoped to uplift through I Am Cait, felt distant, their trust eroded by her politics and privilege. The 2015 car accident remains a shadow over her life. The death of Kim Howe, the settlements, the headlines, it all lingers, resurfacing at unexpected moments. In 2024, her tweet about O.J. Simpson's death brought it all back, with users on X hurling accusations. "You're no better than him," one wrote. The cruelty of those words, the way they twisted a tragedy she's never fully escaped, added to the weight she carries. Legally, she was cleared, but the court of public opinion is unforgiving. The accident, like so much of her life, became a lens through which people judged her, not as a person, but as a symbol of privilege, of controversy, of everything they loved or hated about her. Health challenges have added to the burden. The 2018 skin cancer scare, though resolved, was a moment of vulnerability that contrasted with her public image. The raw photo she shared, her nose scarred from surgery, was a rare glimpse into her humanity, a reminder that even icons face fragility. It was a small tragedy compared to others, but it underscored the toll of living under constant scrutiny, where every flaw is magnified, every moment a potential headline. The end of I Am Cait was its own kind of loss. The show was meant to be her legacy, a way to educate and inspire, but its cancellation after 2 seasons left her without that platform. She tried to stay relevant through Fox News appearances, social media, her brief political run, but each step seemed to widen the gap between her and the community she once sought to represent. The trans youth she met on the show, whose stories moved her to tears, are still out there, fighting their own battles, but Caitlyn's role in their narrative feels diminished, overshadowed by controversy. What's left is a woman caught in the crossfire of her own story. Caitlyn Jenner, who once stood on an Olympic podium and later on a reality TV stage, is now a figure of contradiction, celebrated and vilified, loved and rejected. Her journey, as seen in I Am Cait, was supposed to be about freedom, about living authentically, but it's become a testament to the cost of that freedom. The hate, the family rifts, the losses, they've all chipped away at the hope she once carried. Yet there's resilience there, too, in the way she keeps speaking, keeps trying, even when the world seems determined to tear her down. What do you make of Caitlyn's story? It's a tale of triumph and tragedy, of a woman who dared to be herself and paid a price few could imagine. Share your thoughts in the comments below. We hope you found this story as moving as we have. Like, share, and subscribe for more, and we'll see you in the next one.